Every time someone says you are beautiful, it means I'm ugly? How dare you want to be the most beautiful girl in the village? Take your popcorn and let me tell you how this story began. Once upon a time, in a small village called Dagana, everyone knew the family of Mr. and Mrs. Adeyemi. They were respected people, blessed with 2 daughters. The eldest was called Fola. She was tall, fair-skinned, and remarkably beautiful. Her voice was sweet, like a morning lullaby. Every time she sang, people stopped to listen to her. Men admired her, women complimented her, and the elders always took her as an example of beauty and grace. The second daughter was called Louise, younger and more discreet. In her childhood, Louise was just as happy and pretty, but fate changed her life forever. One afternoon, when she was still very young, a terrible accident occurred in the family kitchen. Burning oil poured over her face, leaving deep scars that would never heal properly. From that day on, people's eyes changed. People no longer looked at Louise with admiration. They turned their eyes away or fixed them with pity. As she grew up, the difference between the 2 sisters became more and more obvious. Fola gained insurance, but this insurance gradually turned into pride. Everywhere she went, people reminded her how beautiful she was. Men gave her gifts, clothes, jewelry, food, just to see her smile. Fola appreciated this attention too much. She began to believe that beauty was all that mattered. Louise, she became invisible in her own house. When visitors arrived, her parents were eager to tell her, "Louise, go inside." When guests stayed for a long time, she would remain hidden. Sometimes she would listen behind the door while Fola was being lauded, as if Louise did not exist. Each time, her heart broke a little more. Even though she was her sister, Fola stopped walking with Louise. If Louise tried to follow her outside, Fola whistled with contempt and said, "Stay behind, do not embarrass me." Louise understood why, and the pain was deep. For many nights, she cried by burying her face in her pillow so that no one could hear her cries. Often, she prayed to God, feeling rejected and ashamed of her own reflection. At home, Louise lived like a servant. She went to fetch water, did the market, picked up wood, and ran errands from morning till evening. Her parents rarely saw Fola. "She's too delicate," they said. Louise accepted her life in silence. With time, she learned to be alone without complaining. One early morning, we sent Louise to fetch water at the village stream. The sun was barely rising and the path was peaceful. On the way back, she saw an old woman sitting on the side of the road. The woman seemed weak and tired with a large jug of water next to her. Louise greeted her politely and continued on her way. But after a few steps, her heart did not let her move forward. She turned around. "Mom, let me help you," she said gently. The old woman looked at her with surprise and gratitude. Louise hid her own bucket behind a tree and lifted the heavy jug of water from the woman to carry it on her head. The old woman thanked her again and asked her to accompany her home. She walked slowly, plunging into the forest until she reached a small isolated hut. Louise put down the jug and was about to leave when the old woman stopped her. "My child," she said, her voice suddenly becoming loud, "you have a good heart. Many have passed before me, but you came back alone." The old woman then took out a small cream, wrapped in a strange sheet, and offered it to Louise. "This is a special cream," she said. "Use it when you want to go out. It will cover your scars and make you beautiful. Any man who will sincerely bind to you while this cream will be on your face will see you as precious forever." Louise was speechless. The shock froze her for a moment. She thanked the woman and then hurried home. That night, she carefully hid the cream in the roof of her room. Fear invaded her heart. What if it was dangerous? What if it was just a trap? She decided not to use it immediately. A few days later, a rich and handsome man came to ask for Fola's hand in marriage. The court was full of gifts. The discussions were animated when Louise returned from the market. The moment Fola saw her, she shouted angrily, "You ugly girl, why are you trying to ruin my special day?" Everyone burst into laughter. Louise, tears in her eyes, ran to take refuge in her room. While she was crying bitterly, Fola's words resonated in her head like a curse: lead, shame, humiliation. She felt small, broken, tired of pretending to be strong. Lying on her bed, her gaze slowly settled on the roof of her room, at the precise place where she had hidden the strange cream given by the old woman. Her heart began to beat faster, hands trembling. Louise took out the small sheet containing the cream. She fixed it for a long time. Fear and hope were fighting inside her. Finally, she whispered a short prayer, then gently applied a little cream on her marked face. Immediately, she felt a strange heat, not painful, but soothing. A silent confidence invaded her chest. Before she could even think more, sleep took her away. The next morning, Louise woke up early, as usual, and went into the forest to pick up some firewood. Taking the path of the village, she felt that something had changed. Men were interrupting their activities to watch her. Some were smiling, others were murmuring among themselves. Louise felt uncomfortable. She touched her face, thinking that there might be a problem. For years, no one had noticed it. Now, all eyes seemed to be placed only on her. Confused and frightened, she almost turned around, but she remembered what would happen if she went home without wood, so she continued on her way. As she was trying to pick up a heavy log, a tall and seductive man suddenly appeared. "Let me help you," he said kindly. Louise froze. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. You are talking to me?" she asked. The man smiled. "Of course. Why would an angel like you carry such a weight alone?" Louise's heart pounded. An angel? She couldn't believe her ears. The man introduced himself. His name was Joseph. He easily picked up the wood on his shoulder and walked to his side. On the way, he spoke to her gently, asking her for her name and things about her life. Louise answered shyly, always wondering if all this was real. When they arrived in the courtyard of the house, Fola was sitting outside. She observed, shocked, Joseph dropping the wood, thanking Louise, then dropping a sweet kiss on her forehead before leaving. Something was breaking inside Fola. Jealousy ignited deeply in her heart. Later, Fola confronted Louise, asking her angrily how she knew Joseph. Louise did not answer. This silence made Fola even angrier. In her room, Louise remembered the cream. It was then that she finally understood. The magic cream was the reason for everything. The next day, Louise applied the cream again before going to the stream. Joseph was already waiting for her. Their friendship grew rapidly. Joseph was kind, respectful, and patient. But Louise was afraid. She wondered if he really loved the person she was, or only the beauty that the cream offered her. During this time, Fola's jealousy turned into hatred. She did not understand how a man could choose Louise over her. One morning, Fola hid near Louise's window and saw her applying the cream. When Louise left, Fola slipped into her room and stole it. Without thinking, she put it on her face. Suddenly, her face began to burn. The pain was unbearable. She screamed and ran to wash her face, but it was already too late. The cream destroyed Fola's skin, burning it and deeply damaging it. When Louise came home, she saw her sister's face. She was overwhelmed. Fola fell to her knees, begging for forgiveness. Through her tears, she finally confessed the truth she had hidden for years. The accident that had marked Louise's face was not an accident. The truth changed everything. Fola cried like a wounded child. Her body trembled as she squeezed Louise very hard against her, refusing to let her go. The pain of her burnt face was nothing compared to the one that tore her heart. Their parents remained frozen, unable to speak. They had never seen Fola in such a state. With a trembling voice, she confessed everything. She explained that when she was little, she felt loved and special because she was the eldest. Everyone admired her. But when Louise was born, beautiful, sweet, and calm, the tension began to shift. People praised Louise's beauty, her kindness, her sweetness. Fola confessed that jealousy had entered her heart like a poison. One day, she placed a pot of hot oil on top of a closet and sent little Louise down there, knowing perfectly well what was going to happen. I wanted her beauty to disappear without a trace. I wanted to be the only one admired. The courtyard became silent. Louise's legs weakened. The truth fell on her like a heavy stone. All these years of pain, shame, and rejection finally had a face. Tears flowed down her cheeks, but she did not cry. She did not hit Fola. Instead, she gently helped her sister to get up. "I have already forgiven you," said Louise in a calm voice. I have forgiven you without even knowing the truth. I do not want to carry hatred in my heart." Their parents burst into tears. Regret filled their eyes when they realized that their favoritism had fed this monster that had become jealousy. They asked Louise for forgiveness for the years of neglect and silence. The news spread quickly in the village. Those who once admired Fola levitated. By learning what she had done to her own sister, their admiration turned into disgust. Men no longer came to see her. She stayed locked up in her house, covering her damaged face, living in shame and regret. Louise's life, changed slowly but magnificently. Joseph stayed by her side through everything. One evening, sitting under a mango tree, Louise revealed the truth to him about the cream. She expected to see fear or disappointment on her face, but Joseph was content to smile. "I saw your heart before I saw your face," he said. He leaned towards her and gently kissed her on the lips. At that moment, Louise felt a strange liberation. Later, looking at herself in the mirror, she realized something extraordinary. The cream was no longer necessary. The scars were still there, but she no longer defined them. Trust and peace now lived in her gaze. Joseph officially asked Louise's hand in marriage. This time, there was no cry or shame. The whole village gathered. Louise walked proudly, no longer as a hidden girl, but as a woman who had survived pain and chose goodness. Fola watched her from afar, tears in her eyes. She lived the rest of her life discreetly, bearing the weight of her choices. Beauty had once made her proud, but jealousy had destroyed her. Louise and Joseph lived in a peaceful home. They had children to whom they taught love, equity, and humility. Louise never forgot her past, but she did not let it poison her future. Moral lesson: parents must love their children equally. Favoritism generates hatred and destruction. Beauty fades away, but a pure heart brings lasting honor.